Hello guys, welcome to Mindfulness Mondays, which is on at 1 o'clock every Monday. If you can't make it, don't worry, you can just go into hashtag Mindful Mondays and pop it on replay, like you can with the rest of the classes. Okay, so let's get to it. These are just very short micro classes, which are either like a mini Kundalini Kriya or meditation or breath work or some tips or tools that you can work with to help live a little bit more of a balanced and calm life. That's coming from me. So good luck with that one, guys. Okay. Nice. So we're working with Ego Eradicator. We're just going to do it for 3 minutes. So if you're joining me for Ego Eradicator, you might just want to come to a comfortable seated position. So you'll see I'm sitting on a cushion, sliding my hips a little bit off the end, and so my knees are slightly lower than the hips. Or if you don't want to sit all the way down to the floor, grab yourself a chair, and that's just as good. Okay, so let me teach Ego Eradicator. First of all, Ego Eradicator is really good for developing some self-discipline. Okay, discipline is something that everybody struggles with. I think human beings are creatures of comfort. Once we've found comfort, I think it's very primitive for us to actually want to stay in that comfort. We find shelter, we stay there. Things are more challenging when you actually have to dedicate some time to yourself to sort of like move through either an exercise or some sort of self-development. It's not quite as easy, is it, to sort of bring ourselves to that disciplined practice to help sort of allow our lives to feel a little bit more calm and a little bit more focused with a little bit more clarity. But once you do get that self-discipline into your life a little bit more, things become a lot more easy. So this practice, I find, is one of the best little mini exercises that you can do for self-discipline. Firstly, because it's short. Okay, and I always tell people, I always teach my students, it's all about getting to the mat in the first place rather than thinking you've got to complete something really long. Okay, I tell myself this on a daily basis. I'm a bite-sized chunked sort of person for sure. It's all about developing that little bit of consistency, something that you can do on a more regular basis that doesn't have to take so much time. Okay, and once you start to love the practice, once you start to feel the true benefits of something like a Kundalini yoga practice or a little breathwork technique or meditation, then you can start to add the length. The most important part is to get to the mat, even if it's just for 3 minutes, and come with a little bit more consistency and a little bit more discipline. Okay, so that short amount of time with Ego Eradicator is really good for developing self-discipline. Okay, the ego in itself is what stops us from being disciplined. Okay, because it's always there niggling away at us, chatting rubbish and it becomes very self-critical in the head. And then it starts to think of all these very quick and easy solutions around the stuff that it's trying to do. So for example, if you don't feel good about yourself, the ego might go, you're a horrible person, you're a horrible, worthless person, you know how it does. And then it starts to find a solution to the critique that it's just given you. So, if you go on a diet, or if you go buy yourself a new dress, or if you go do one of these very short-term fixes to making yourself feel better, then everything's going to be okay. It's like a plaster on a wound. But the ego is the thing that stops us from getting disciplined, because discipline comes from self-love. And self-love comes from when we eradicate the ego a little bit and listen to our truest form of self, our soul, what really ignites our spirit, our true authentic self. Okay, so this exercise helps to stop the ego from all of its short-term fixes and brings us back to more of a long-term fix, which is self-commitment, clarity and self-love. Okay, so we're quieting in that monkey mind, and we're coming back to a much more balanced and a much more space of inner peace, okay? So we come to that meditative mind, which is where everything feels a lot more easier to deal with. That's the place where discipline comes from, okay? So let's get to it. Ego Eradicator, 3 minutes. The first thing you want to do is come to a comfortable seated position, cross-legged or on a chair. Second thing we're working with is elongating the spine. So allowing for each vertebra of the spine to be nicely stacked, lots of space in between each individual vertebra. And then from here, lift the chest bone. So we're expanding the chest, relax the shoulder blades down the back, and apply neck lock. Okay, now if you're not used to neck lock, don't worry about it too much. Just think about this action. Tuck the chin slightly back, not down, but slightly back, so that we're stretching out the back of the neck. Okay, and this just avoids this from happening. We don't want to be crushing the neck here. Slightly tucking that chin in and back. Okay, lots of length in the spine. Fab. Okay, from here, we're going to raise our arms up 60 degrees, okay, about 60 degrees, and then close the tips of the fingers into the pad of the hand, leaving just the thumb out. Okay, so we're getting this position first of all. So the thumb, it doesn't want to point inwards, it wants to point upwards. And you're sort of drawing the thumb away from the index finger. So you've got a bit of a stretch there from the thumb to the index finger. Okay, your elbows are straight, you're sort of spreading and opening out the body and keeping that little chin tucked in. And with this position, we're going to work with breath of fire. Okay, so we're going to start, I'm going to teach breath of fire, and then we're going to start the practice. Okay, so arms are up. You can have a little watch of my abdominal muscles if you like for a moment. So right down at the belly button area. We're going to start to, before we do the breath, engage the belly and release it. Engage the belly and release it. Okay, so we're sort of pumping the belly button back to the spine. Okay, pump, 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 pump. Pumping the belly button back to the spine, okay? And as we pump the belly button back to the spine, we're going to allow that belly button to act almost like a driving force for the breath to come out of the nose. So it looks like this. There's an inhalation as well, but it's very passive. Okay, so it looks like this. As if somebody's squeezing the belly muscles in, and that forces the breath out of the nose. Let's try it, okay? So just concentrating on pumping the belly back to the spine as the breath comes out the nose. Okay? There's a vigorous action to this movement. Now you don't want to do this if you're pregnant, and you don't want to do it if you're menstruating. So you might just do this with long, slow, deep breathing. Okay? Neck lock. So we'll start in a moment. If you're used to breath of fire, you can start it now. If you want to try breath of fire, snapping the belly button back into the spine as the breath comes out the nose, in and out of the nose quite rapidly. Let's go. Okay, trying our best. Lift up 60 degrees with the arms, lift the thumbs up, apply that neck lock and pump the navel as the breath comes in and out of the nose quite rapidly. Keep going. Stay where you are. Keep going, and we're going to go for 3 minutes. Taking your gaze point as if you're sort of gazing to the third eye, so in between the eyebrows and slightly up. Third eye space. Let's keep going. So So you try in here with breath of fire. If it's too much, long, slow, deep breathing, okay? Keeping that arm position, keeping the neck locked, slightly drawing chin back, long spine. And just keep pumping that navel back into the spine. Okay, just trying your best. Purifying breath. Okay, so it's starting to purify the body. Release and remove from the body. Eliminate, rejuvenate. Keep going. I've got a little itch on my nose. Woo. If it's too much, long, slow, deep breath. Just concentrate on what the arms are doing. Concentrate on the length in the spine and meditating inwardly. You should start to feel, if you're doing breath of fire, the belly starting to really work, the abdominals to start to work, so you might feel a little bit of burning and then really sort of firing up. We've got 1 more minute. You can do it. Really generating that sort of navel tapper, that navel fire, so belly starting to fire up and removing any impurities, any toxins from the body. Lovely, keep going. This is bringing the brain hemispheres back into a state of alertness. Okay, so we're becoming more balanced with more clarity for 5 more breaths. Okay, from here, guys, take a big inhalation. Touch the thumbs above the head. Squeeze, hold the breath, engage the pelvic floor muscles, sex organs, toilet muscles, bum, wee, lower belly. Hold, reach. Keep that neck locked in. Hold, reach. Strengthen, straighten, hold, send the energy up. Then spread the fingertips as wide as you can. And take a big exhale out the mouth as you swoop the aura. Hands to the side of the hips. Woo, arms might ache. Close the eyes down. Release the belly muscles. Come back to a very regular breath. And just notice the really calming effects that comes after this very quick 3-minute exercise. Come back to a very slow and almost like suspenseful breath. So your breath's coming into the belly on the inhalation and then it's sort of drawing back on the exhalation. So you've got this lovely sort of wave-like motion with the belly. Just taking a couple more moments, allowing that spine to be tall. The belly wants to completely relax now. It's been working quite hard. And then when you're ready, you can open the eyes up. Satnam, everybody, thank you so much for joining me. If you struggle with breath of fire, then it's just something that comes over time, okay? We're working with just a practice, not a perfect. It's never, ever, ever meant to be a perfect practice. It's just meant to be coming to the mat, trying your best and, getting used to it over time. Okay, so there you have it, Ego Eradicator, really good for self-discipline, really good for calming the mind and bringing ourselves back to the body. Have a fab day.
Right.